Everything that we do,
does
sir.
the Commons contribute more to climate change than a McMansion in Houston? You were pretty quick to criticize the people of Houston for wanting to build, you thought, McMansions, but you don't criticize your own university?
I don't find that to be equivocal comparison between space meant for students who must reside at a university.
You don't see
and
the
those
hypocrisy in that?
It is your finding and interpretation, sir.
But you don't see the irony of the hypocrisy?
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Okay. I kind of gathered that would be your answer.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Capital Insights. Today, we've got a pretty interesting discussion to dive into. It's all about Senator John Kennedy questioning a Tulane University professor, Professor Keenan, about what he calls climate hypocrisy in a recent budget hearing. It's one of those moments where politics and climate issues collide, and trust me, the exchange gets a little intense. Before we jump in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Now let's get into it. Professor Keenan teaches at Tulane University and is a globally recognized thought leader on climate change. He also gives paid speeches, which is pretty normal for experts in their field. Senator Kennedy starts by asking Keenan how much he charges for these speeches and whether he donates the money to Tulane. Keenan says he keeps it for himself since it's outside his role as a professor. Kennedy's warming up, poking at the idea of money in the climate debate. Next, Kennedy brings up a letter Keenan signed calling for universities to stop accepting money from fossil fuel companies. The argument is that fossil fuel funding creates a conflict of interest for climate researchers, but here's where Kennedy flips the script. He points out that Tulane received $25 million from the Murphy oil family, a big player in the fossil fuel industry. Kennedy's like, shouldn't you be calling on your own university to give that money back? Keenan dodges, saying the donation didn't go to his department and it's Tulane's decision. But Kennedy's not letting this slide, digging deeper into what he sees as hypocrisy. Kennedy accuses Keenan of hypocrisy, saying, you signed this letter but your own university takes fossil fuel money. Keenan defends his stance, saying it's mainly a problem if that money influences climate research, but Kennedy isn't buying it.
I do.
You have your own agent, I believe, according to your website, Lee Bureau?
This is correct.
And how much do you charge per speech?
It varies depending on the audience, the amount of preparation work that goes, and the amount of follow-through. Usually,
The last paid speech you gave, how much did you receive?
I'm happy to follow up on it.
You don't remember?
I do not.
Do you give that money to Tulane?
I do not.
You keep it?
Yes, this is outside of my capacity as a professor.
Right.
As is
Now,
standard course.
you recently sent a letter you recently joined a lot of other academics. You signed a letter demanding that elite institutions and universities stop accepting money from fossil fuel companies. Is that correct?
This is correct.
You consider Tulane an elite university?
I would like to think that we have a high standard of excellence in our education and our research.
Okay. Well, the Murphy family of Murphy Oil and the Deming family of Murphy Oil have recently given Tulane $25 million. You think, have you called on Tulane to give that money back?
Well, it's not, they didn't give that money to my unit or the department or school that I work in.
Have you called on Tulane to give that money back, or you think that's okay for them to keep it?
It's their prerogative, not mine.
Okay. Yet you just signed a letter saying that all elite universities should refuse fossil fuel money. Did you put a footnote in there and say, except my own?
Well, what I'd like to say, Senator, is that I believe it raises a conflict of interest for those that research climate change that are supported by the fossil fuel industry.
Yeah, but then why don't you ask Tulane to give the $25 million back?
Well, I think in the context, if that money were to be used to support climate research, information, disinformation, or whatever it may be, then that may be an appropriate conflict of interest. But I think in the context of which
you don't see the hypocrisy here?
It is a hypocrisy in those that may read and interpret it as such.
Maybe it's like Washington. If there weren't double standards, there wouldn't be standards at all. Let me ask you this. You also participated in another article here criticizing Houston for building new buildings and McMansions. And you said, I'm going to read your quote. I don't want to misquote you, Professor. That means we have to change our consumer preferences. You could have a super efficient, energy efficient mega mansion in Houston or the suburbs, but it's still a mansion. You're still over consuming space. Did you say that?
Yes, sir, that's based on work as a member of the IPCC. Our research suggested that reducing our footprint in terms of total spatial footprint would have significant impacts in the decarbonization of the built environment.
And so you're saying that people should live in smaller houses because larger houses contribute to CO2 emissions?
100%, Senator.
Okay. Well, recently, Tulane finished the Commons. It was 77,000 square feet, $55 million. Recently, Tulane finished the Gold Ring Woldenberg Business Complex, $35 million to complete, 92,000 square feet. Boy, that's a McMansion. Musafir Hall, 23,000 square feet. Paul Hall, 36,000 square feet. Richardson Hall, 50,000 square feet. Housing redevelopment phase 1, 230,000 square feet at Tulane. Have you called upon Tulane to stop these buildings?
Sir, the habitable space within those units are roughly the size of the conference room back there and are indeed quite small.
But they contribute to, does
everything that we do,
does
sir.
the Commons contribute more to climate change than a McMansion in Houston? You were pretty quick to criticize the people of Houston for wanting to build, you thought, McMansions. But you don't criticize your own university?
I don't find that to be equivocal comparison between space meant for students who must reside at a university.
You don't see
and
the
those
hypocrisy in that?
It is your finding and interpretation, sir.
But you don't see the irony of the hypocrisy?
I'm going to go ahead and say no.
Okay. I kind of gathered that would be your answer.
He's hammering home the point, saying, how can you criticize others and not clean up your own backyard? If you're enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe for more. So what do you think? Is there hypocrisy here, or is it just politics as usual? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm really curious to hear what you all think. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to hit that subscribe button on Capital Insights and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.